Welcome to Xbox On. This year, we're celebrating 20 years of incredible Xbox games across 4 different console generations. Allowing you to keep playing these games on whatever platform you're rocking has been a central part of the Xbox philosophy, with a massive range of backwards compatible titles available to download, many of which are available on Xbox Game Pass. So, to guide you along your trip down memory lane, here are 10 of the definitive games from the OG Xbox and 360 days, which are available on Game Pass right now.
Double Fine's 2005 cartoon platformer is the very definition of a cult classic. Overlooked by the masses on its initial release, but absolutely adored by everyone who did check it out. The game revolves around a young boy called Raz, whose only goal in life is to join up with an elite team of psychic secret agents known as the Psychonauts. To make that dream a reality, he'll have to find a way past teenage bullies, family curses, and at least one dastardly supervillain. Which is kind of a lot for someone who's not even old enough to buy an energy drink without getting ID'd. But if you make it to the end and feel like, could have been weirder, fear not. Come August 25th, Psychonauts 2 will be arriving onto Game Pass for Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC to take you even further down the rabbit hole.
The Gears of War games have been setting the bar for cover-based shooters and cinematic action ever since that first iconic Mad World-backed trailer dropped. All the way through, the series has shown an unrivaled ability to merge ridiculous things like chainsaw guns and Schwarzenegger-sized soldiers with somber war stories that feature surprisingly affecting emotional beats. You still with me? Between the original trilogy and the Baird-centric spin-off Judgement, we've all got that one tragic death that we still can't quite get over. Poor Carmine, he never stood a chance. And the fact that you actually care about this gang of supersized, gravel-voiced lunkheads makes the game's frenetic action all the more intense, especially when you're playing in co-op. Few experiences in gaming are quite as nerve-wracking as the desperate race to reach your fallen buddy before they bleed out while locusts swarm around you. Especially if they're playing as Cole. Can't let anything bad happen to Cole.
In many ways, The Elder Scrolls III Morrowind is the game which Bethesda announced itself to the world with. Taking full advantage of the OG Xbox's game-changing built-in hard drive, Morrowind delivered a fantasy world on a scale which had simply been unimaginable beforehand, especially for console gamers. And it wasn't just that the game provided players with a massive world to play in, it was that it allowed them to choose their own place within it. Want to be a noble warrior who defends the weak and fights with honor? Fine. Prefer to be a sneaky thief who robs the townfolk blind at every opportunity? Also fine. Decide to become a vampire, lurk in the shadows and prey on unsuspecting passersby? That too, in this very specific context of this particular video game, is also fine. Basically, Morrowind ushered in a whole new era of RPGs, where you really could play any role that you wanted. An era which Bethesda are pretty much the undisputed champions of, with several of the best RPGs of all time already under their belts, and the hotly anticipated Elder Scrolls 6 on the way, which works out very nicely for Game Pass members.
And if you're a lover of magical realms and wide open RPGs, then Albion has to be the next destination on your map. Whichever one of the 3 excellent Fable games you're playing, you'll find that the world itself is the true main character. Its soft-edged, colourful art design gives it a fairy tale feel, although if you peek underneath you'll find a level of fantastical debauchery which could make the palest Lannister blush. And that contrast is basically what Fable is all about. As you adventure through it on a quest to save the world, you'll find both Albion and your character transforming before your very eyes. Take the straight and narrow path and you'll get to play as a true white knight, surrounded by adoring friends in a snug hobbit-worthy hamlet. But choose to indulge some of your less wholesome appetites and you'll be traipsing through a dilapidated wasteland with a long list of enemies and a demonic burning sensation that the local apothecary can't quite explain. Either way, now is the perfect time to reacquaint yourself with the spectacular, sordid world of Albion, with a brand new Fable game arriving day one on Game Pass in the hopefully not too distant future.
The meticulous realism and jaw-dropping scenery of Microsoft Flight Simulator has many Game Pass members pretty much living out of their cockpits. And if you fancy a change of pace while you're soaring through the clouds, Crimson Sky's High Road to Revenge might be just the jolt you need. Rather than intricately recreating our own world, Crimson Skies imagines an alternate 1930s, where the whole place is being built around aircrafts, which works out well for hotshot pilots like yourself, providing you with a vast sandbox to zoom around in and cause as much mischief as you can muster before the authorities gun you down. It's basically Grand Theft Airplane. Featuring an awesome range of aircraft and a hugely entertaining band of arcade aerial combat, Crimson Sky's High Road to Revenge holds up every bit as well as the aircraft you'll be piloting. Sure, it might look a little rickety by today's standards, but get that baby airborne and just watch how it flies.
Another classic title which has been exciting gamers all over again with the promise of a shiny new remake is Dead Space. So if you're looking to reacquaint yourself with its blood-curdling world, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members can check out the full trilogy thanks to EA Play. The first game opens with the same simple premise that has made titles like Prey into nerve-wracking delights, waking up alone on an abandoned spaceship with an alien menace on the loose. You don't know for sure what happened to the rest of the crew, but you do find splattery red indications all around that surely tell you it was probably nothing good. The one thing you do know is that if you want to avoid suffering the same messy fate, you'd better learn to use that plasma cutter real good, real fast. Over the course of the trilogy, the stakes just get higher and the scares just get more intense. By the end, you may even be glad that it takes place in space where no one can hear you scream, squeal, or make any other embarrassing noises. Oh, and since knowing is half the battle, Dead Space Extraction offers a comic book style lesson in how the horrors of the original game came to be. Just remember that the other half of the battle is plasma cutters.
In a tense survival game like Dead Space, you've got to be as tight-fisted as possible about your supplies if you want to have any hope of staying alive. In Black, everything about the game asks you to spend ammunition like it's going out of fashion. This classic first-person shooter is all about unrelenting action as you blast your way from one level to the next, causing as much chaos as possible along the way. It blazed a trail, almost literally, for environmental destruction in video games, putting an astonishing amount of time and effort into the textures and physics of the world around you, then letting you fire a rocket into the gas canister and blow the whole thing to smithereens. And even in an era where games are pushing the boundaries of what the medium can do in all sorts of profound and sophisticated ways, there's still a lot to be said for this kind of pure, unrestrained destruction.
But as much fun as wanton destruction can be, someone always has to clean up that mess. And in the case of Blinx the Time Sweeper, that someone is a cartoon cat with the power to manipulate time itself. I know that might seem like a weird premise for a game, but if you'd been around in 2002, I swear you wouldn't even have batted an eye. It was just a different time. The thing that really set Blinx apart from the host of other colourful cartoon platformers swarming across consoles in the early aughts was the way it used the Xbox's hard drive to create an instant replay of each level as you played, which Blinx could then rewind, fast forward, or put in slow motion. The game constantly finds clever new ways for you to use these powers, forcing you to think about time in a completely different way in order to solve its puzzles and overcome its obstacles. So while the technology might not seem as impressive as it did back in the day, the ingenious level design absolutely does. Which ironically makes Blinx's whole journey sort of timeless.
But if we're talking about classic cartoon platformers, there's no duo more iconic than the bird and the bear made by Rare, Banjo and Kazooie. By basing the game around a double act rather than a single critter, Rare opened up all sorts of fun gameplay possibilities based around their different specialities. While Banjo's bare huggable bod made him ideal for taking things head on, Kazooie's airborne abilities let you explore more of the game's gorgeous cartoon world. And because this was a Rare game, any part of it you explored was sure to turn up something hilarious, gross, or just plain weird. There are few sights as likely to warm the heart of a nostalgic millennial than these two bounding through brightly coloured levels together on their quest to defeat that nasty witch Gruntilda. And if you're too young to have such fond memories, even better. You get to discover these classic platformers for the very first time. And if you're looking to check out even more of Rare's classic wares, you'll also find the Rare Replay collection sitting snugly in the Game Pass library.
Last but not least, we've got another classic gaming hero who you might want to brush up on before the next chapter in her story arrives. Agent Joanna Dark. Perfect Dark charts her attempts to uncover a conspiracy theory involving an extraterrestrial war and the big, shady corporation who reckon they might be able to turn a profit off it. There's always one. We'd like to think that if humanity found itself caught in the middle of a war between two super advanced alien races, then no one down here would see that as a business opportunity, but yeah. Perfect Dark was basically a spiritual successor to one of the most beloved shooters of all time, GoldenEye, taking its top-notch mechanics and visual polish and transporting them all to its own original sci-fi universe. The end result was the kind of boundary-pushing blockbuster which still finds itself on greatest game of all time lists on a regular basis. To get a little more insight into how Joanna Dark became the badass super spy we know and love, Game Pass members can also delve into the game's Xbox 360 prequel, Perfect Dark Zero. And if all that has you wondering what a Perfect Dark game could achieve with modern day tech, well, hopefully you shouldn't have to wonder for too much longer with a brand new entry in the series confirmed for some time in the future.
Of course, we're only just scratching the surface of the incredible backwards compatible games which Xbox has to offer. And then there are all the gorgeous remasters we've seen in recent years, with titles like Halo, Spyro and Resident Evil all getting shiny new remakes that take full advantage of the new hardware. With such an incredible back catalogue of games now at its disposal, there really has never been a better time to be an Xbox gamer. Let us know in the comments which classics you'll be revisiting, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell. Bye!